This is my 98th performance of Otello.
That was the speaking voice of Placido Domingo, the Otello in lyric opera of Chicago's opening opera, which is about to happen about 14 minutes from now. This is Norm Pellegrini, and we are speaking from the Chicago Civic Center for the Performing Arts, where Lyric Opera of Chicago is about to open its 1985 season. The opera, Verdi's Otello, with Placido Domingo in the title role, Margaret Price as Desdemona, Sherrill Milnes as Iago, Paul Pliszka as Lodovico, with supporting cast, the Lyric Opera of Chicago Chorus and Orchestra, Bruno Bartoletti conducting. Now down to lyric stage for Act One of Verdi's Otello.
Rodrigo, e ben che pensi d'affogarvi? Colto e chi s'affoga per amor di donna. Vincer non so, tu via fa senno. Aspetta l'opera del tempo. Ah, Desdemona bella, che del segreto de quei sognadori presto in uggia verranno i foschi baci di quel selvaggio d'ante gonfie labbra. Un Rodrigo, amico tu sincero, mi di professo, nel più forte ambascia soccorrerti potrei, se non fatti il voto di te, non è troppo loro pensiero, io ne l'inferno. Giuro che quella donna sarà tua. Ma ascolta, benché tinga d'amarlo, odio quel moro, è una cagion dell'ira. Eccola, guarda. Quell'azzimato capitano usurpa il grado mio, e in 100 ben pugnate battaglie ho meritato. Al cui voler d'Otello io rimango di suo moresca e signoria l'alviene. Ma come è vero che tu Rodrigo sei, così è pur vero che se morro io fossi, vederti non vorrei d'atto non piano. E tu m'ascolti. Rodrigo beviamo quella tazza capitano non bevo più ingoia questo sforzo no guarda oggi in faccia tutta cifro è una notte di gioia dunque cessa già parte cervello per una potata sì ancora dei verdeni alle nozze l'Otello e le spegno Iago canterà e le suoni io non sono è un critico e degli rognoni più bella guarda da quel Cassio e te ehi favella già con tuo favollo la gagliana giovane con lo sprona e un astuto sedutor che ti compra il cammino alla e lei mi hai perduto all'omer qua ragazzi Bellino innaffia l'ugola trinca tre canta prima che svattino canto il bicchiere tre pampio verace mannani d'agri colate niente ciel fialesca un sol dal di là madalano il canto bella com'è bello con te questa morzone di notte ma parte stampo bene con te bene con te bene con te bene con te labbro di sospir scendean sulle mie tenebre la gloria e le parirà e gli astri avveri io come tue tenebre oscure
one of Verdi's Otello from Lyric Opera of Chicago. Placido Domingo as Otello, Margaret Price as Desdemona, Sherrill Milnes as Iago. Barry Macaulay is Cassio, Paul Hartfield is Rodrigo, Paul Kreider is Montano, Bruno Bartoletti is our conductor. I imagine our Otello and Desdemona will be appearing in just a moment. And here they come.
Placido Domingo and Margaret Price, both wearing long white flowing gowns. Miss Price bows very graciously.
Recall that Margaret Price sang the Willow song, Ave Maria, at the Lyric Gala. Remember?
That's right.
Several years back.
That's right.
One of the hits of that gala. And, of course, these voices, all of these voices, in a wonderful production at Lyric Opera of Chicago.
The dress rehearsal, Placido Domingo stopped by and talked with us in one of the dressing rooms backstage, and we began by asking him how many times he's performed the role of Otello.
This is my 98th performance of Otello, and by a coincidence, the third performance of this run on the 28th of September will be exactly my 100th performance, coinciding with my 10th anniversary, the 28th of September 1975. I did my first Otello in Hamburg, and just one more happy coincidence, Sherrill Milnes was the Iago also.
He was. I was going to ask you, how many times have you performed with him? How many productions?
Oh, well, I suppose considerably a big amount with Sherrill. I think if I make the percentage of my Otello performances, maybe, let's say, then I have done it with many, many baritons, but I think maybe the 40% of my performances has been with him, yes.
I think that you must have grown together with this role. It seems to work so beautifully on the stage.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Such an ensemble.
It's wonderful because I need a Iago that is, I like a Iago that is physically strong, that is physically even taller than me, you know. So then Otello looks quite impressive when he has to be physically rude to him. And I think, well, Sherrill and me, we have done it so many times. It's really a pleasure.
How has the role grown for you? How is it different now than it was 10 years ago?
Well, the feeling of the role is more or less the same because, I mean, basically you have to realize that the dramatic character is there. I think my characterization has grown more than anything in a vocal way, because vocal, I'm more mature. And dramatically, I also see the role in different aspects. It depends on the production. I have done many different productions. And that is the wonderful thing, to be able to work with different producers, different ways of seeing the character. You can go to perform the character completely an African, real black character, but you can also do it more in the Moorish style. You can do it, almost white in a way, which is, there are different shades to the character. Then you have to look for different other problems. You have to look for the age. You have to look for when you play as an African, you already play thinking of the complex that he might feel in that civilization, with different people than he is, and also the fact of Desdemona being quite younger, and Iago seeming to be the perfect pair, so it's what it makes very, very upset and very tragic, this story of jealousy.
This jealousy can be expressed in different ways. I know some performers express it in a kind of brooding, seething anger. Your anger, when it comes, is very outgoing.
Yeah, I think the anger exists, the anger is there, but you cannot be during 4 hours completely angry. I mean, there are many moments where you are the victim, when you are the suffering victim, and then you explode. It's just like a wounded beast, which over the sudden explodes because he cannot anymore from the pain. But in many occasions, the pain goes to him, and pains, and feel it, and then he explodes.
How do you pace yourself to do that? I mean, from the first time that Iago starts putting the seeds of doubt into your mind about Desdemona, how do you pace yourself over
quite
3
difficult,
hours?
because the music go a lot faster than what it should be going inside of you. So you have to delay it almost, because if you
delay your reaction,
you have to delay your reactions. Otherwise, you will be absolutely furious at the first words. Because immediately he said, if you trust Cassio, I said, was your wife with him? No, I thought he was. I mean, you have almost not to pay attention. You have to be so busy that you hardly hear that, because otherwise you will say, oh yes, it is. So what? I mean, what do you have to tell me? What is wrong? So you have to delay a little bit. The most you delay the explosion, the bigger it is.
Speaking of Otello, you plan to make a film of this opera,
Exactly,
don't
yes,
you?
yes. I'm doing a film with Sefirelli being the director. We have recorded the soundtrack already with La Scala, the chorus and the orchestra, on the Lorin Marcel conducting, and Desdemona is Katia Ricciarelli, and the Iago Justino Diaz.
And when is that expected to be finished?
Well, should be finished by the middle of December. Suppose then it should be ready by next spring.
Wonderful, wonderful. You like to make films, don't you?
I certainly do.
Yes, you've also done Otello on television too. So
Yes,
really
I really.
run the gamut with this.
But of course, this film is like my biggest dream, because I love to make films, and I have done Traviata and Carmen as big motion pictures. But the Otello is certainly my best role, the one I love the most. So I'm looking very much.
What about your conducting career?
I love it very much. I enjoy it tremendously, and every day I'm doing more important things. I would love to conduct Otello one day, but for me to conduct Otello, I will have to stop singing it. So I hope it's still a long time until I can do it.
Do you have any conducting plans in the near future that you can
Yeah,
tell
I'm
us
doing a recording of the Fledermaus with the Bayerische Rundfunk Orchestra. I'm conducting Romeo and Juliet at the Met next year. I'm conducting Don Pasquale at Covent Garden. So I'm having
a lot.
lot of problems. Yes.
That's a lot. That's wonderful. And you like doing the opera?
Yes, I
in
do.
particular, rather than. Do you think ever about doing concerts?
Yes, I will do it. But in a way, it is easier to do concerts than the opera. The opera is very, 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 very demanding. You have tremendous strength there. For the orchestra, the concerts, the orchestras are so fantastic. They have the repertoire so many times done. It's less complicated. Then it's more difficult to be really somebody. Of course, it is to put all your feeling, all your personality to make those musicians, and they have played, I don't know, Beethoven Fifth, Beethoven First, 1,000 times to put something else. That's more difficult. But the simply technical way of conducting a concert is easier than conducting opera.
What about any other plans? Any other recordings or any other new operas, new roles? Anything that you're coming up with or something that you haven't sung?
I'm concentrating on my repertoire and the repertoire that I do most of the time. Where I have now a recording coming of Don Carlos in French. I'm going to do a recording of Lohengrin this coming year, and
with
Ariadne. Lohengrin is with Scholti, and Ariadne is with Jimmy Levine. Plus, I'm doing a film on the life of Puccini, which is very important.
You are? Who's directing that?
We are still discussing that.
Very good. Will that be made in Europe or in...
Will be made in Europe, yes.
Wonderful. Well, we're certainly glad that you've come back to Chicago, and we look forward to every night of performance of Otello this season, and thank you very much for stopping by to talk with us.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it very much, and I hope that the performances really, they will be as real as all this period of rehearsals we have had.
I'm sure they will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Placido Domingo talking with us there backstage. Our next interview is with Margaret Price. Miss Price, who, as we said earlier, hasn't been on the lyric stage in a production for 10 years. She did appear at the Lyric Opera Gala, as Norm mentioned, singing the Willow Song several years back. Here is Evans Mirages talking with Margaret Price.
We should begin by welcoming you back to Chicago in this year of reunions with our friends on the stage who have been away for too long. It's been a decade since Chicagoans and our radio audience across the country has been able to hear you on the lyric stage, and we lament the fact that it's taken 10 years for you to come back, but we're very glad to have you back, particularly as Desdemona. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Your Verdi role that you're bringing to Chicago this year, Desdemona, one which is one of your celebrated Verdi interpretations, along with Aida, is a woman of considerable strength, which is in sharp contrast to many people's stereotypical conception of Desdemona or Desdemona in the play.
In the play, yes.
How did you arrive, and how do you construct your very strong, still very womanly Desdemona?
Compose that music for, what's the word I'm trying to use?
She's no shrinking violet.
She's definitely no shrinking blonde. The third act, for example, I mean, musically speaking, she at one point almost hits him for his stupidity. She's tried and tried and tried through charm and everything to calm him down. And he still won't take any notice of her. He would prefer, like we all do, I suppose, in human relationships, he would prefer to listen to the guy next door than to listen to his own wife. And I was lucky enough that the very first time that I did this piece, I had a man from the Straight Theatre as a producer. It was only the second time that Placido had done it. He had just done it a few months before in Hamburg, and then we did a new production in Paris together, which was my very first Desdemona. And Terry Hands was he was at that time the head of the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in Stratford-upon-Avon, and he had very strong ideas that Desdemona was certainly not a weak person and should not be played in this kind of way. And the reason being that historically she would have to have an enormous strength of character to go against her father, who was the Doge of Venice, and marry a black man in that particular time of history, and to leave home. Not only to leave home with this person, but to actually go to war with him. She went everywhere with him. In the opening duet, she says they are remembering the last time that they were together on a war mission, and she's talking about the terrible horrors that she saw with the captives and everything. Now that kind of person isn't weak, and therefore that is my reason for not playing her as a very soft, gentle, weak person. I just can't see it, either from the theatrical side or from the musical side. I mean, they both go, to my mind, together to produce a very strong lady.
And come the fourth act, she is also, I think, revealed in so many ways. You have a bit of business, as it were, a part of the development of your character in the just before the Ave Maria, as the Salce is finishing. And the way that you gestured made me think today that somehow Desdemona knows death is in the room.
Oh, I'm absolutely certain that she's got some kind of instinct that he is going to kill her. I mean, he's tried already twice to not kill her exactly, but I mean, he's shamed her in front of the entire delegation that has come from Venice, and he's lifted his hand to her on 2 occasions, and he has actually, at the end of the third act, at the end of the first part of the third act, called her a whore. Therefore, she's really has this sense that something awful is going to happen to her. That's why she says, strange, I've got a very, very strange feeling this evening. I remember my mother telling me a story once about, and then she goes off, and it's almost like Ophelia. She's not quite tangible, I feel. That's why I like to ignore everything and everybody that's on the stage. I mean, I'm full of my own thoughts, and a little wayward, a little not quite all there upstairs. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because she's terrified in some ways, and yet knows that this is going to happen and almost accepts the fact that it's going to happen.
Margaret Price there talking with Evans Mirages about the role of Desdemona.
Robin Redmond and Cassio, Barry Macaulay. Now Act Two of Verdi's Otello from Lyric Opera of Chicago.
Folleggianti amori di Monna Bianca, al giro capitano col sanore cavalceo freggato, non lusingarmi, attendi a ciò io dico. Uge sapere che Desdemona il duce del nostro duce salvare sai vive e pregala tu quell'anima cortese per te interceda il tuo perdono è certo come fa beccarle e il suo costume dirse la verità tra quelle fronte con la consorte mia qui l'aspetta forte ferma la via di salva non è vanne. Anne, la tua meta già vedo, distinge il tuo dimon sar'io, e me trascina il mio, nel quale io credo inevitare di te. come crede l'avevo nell'altemio. Il mal ch'io penso è che da me procede per mio destino ed Bestardo che nel viso e nel cuor si butto in lui bugiardo, lagrima, bacio, guardo, a prestigio ed onor. E credo l'uomo, giocare di quel forte, al la saluta essa vicina or qui si traga Otello aiuta salva il mio cimento già conferma insieme e le cantrina sorridendo e sbellito di passo il lampo soldi quel sorriso per trascinare Otello la rovina. Andiamo. Quest'anno mio favor s'adopra. Eccolo, al posto, all'opera. Vuoi qui una vana voce così dall'affro colui che s'allontana dalla mia sposa è Cassio no questi scosse come un vero nel vedermi credo che Cassio perché fai tal inchiesta? Il mio pensiero è vago, soffie, non di malizia. Il tuo pensiero, Iago, si confidasse a Cassio, e tu mia non cenno portava la mia sposa da senno, sì, da senno, non è credi onesto, e ascondi nel tuo cuore, e ascondo ancor, signore, e ascondo ancor, signore, perché non vede con le miei, ne piastra della rivali senti, quale che t'arrivi il mondo. Sì, vento di pocanzi mormorare, ma ora a di te parlari, e nomi di Cassio, e a io la parruti la fronte. Parli a sevami, voi sapete che io vado, dunque senza veramite, corrimi e sappati, e caponai a vada, il mio mio pensiero, e la più mia parola, con condenessa in mano, l'anima mia, non sapete, coscienze nostre Nella dimora di Cassio ciò s'ascolta. Desdemona rea, con questi fili tramerò la prova del peccato l'amor, nella dimora di Cassio ciò s'ascolta. Otro di Lea, il mio bene lavora, Lea contro me, oh friero, andate! Non pensate più, oh, dietro tutti, hai legato alla clave, renda d'ogni orrenda ingiuria dell'ingiuria e il sospetto, dell'ore arcade che la sua furia frate, e magicamente sapevo ancora, io non sentivo sul saper di mi innamora, e fin là rimendati gli ardenti baci di Cassio. E ora e per sempre, addio, sante memorie, addio, sopra l'incredibile pensier, addio, fiere fulgenti, addio, vittorie, ed anni volati Voglio che il mondo testimoni sia che l'onestà è taneria. No, prima di forse adesso tu sei. Meglio vorrebbe che io fossi un trovador per l'universo. Credo che non lo sia. Bravo resto, credo che disleale la prova io voglio la certezza celeste e qualche pezzo va bisogna avvin di vederi morte la nazione! Guarda impresa sarebbe. E qual certezza sognate voi, se quell'immondo fatto sempre vi sfuggirà.
From Lyric Opera of Chicago, Act 2 of Verdi's Otello, the duet Seatbelt Shell, which concludes, both of them swearing, as Otello draws Iago, saying, "We shall have vengeance, and you must assist me." Here are Otello and Iago, Placido Domingo, and Sherrill Milnes. Bruno Bartoletti conducting this performance at Lyric Opera of Chicago on opening night, 1985. Desdemona being sung by Margaret Price. And as you can hear, sustained applause and bravos, that exciting duet brilliantly sung by Placido Domingo and Sherrill Milnes. Of course, these two gentlemen have worked together a great deal on the operatic stage and in many, many recordings.
And here's an ensemble bow with Sherrill Milnes again as Iago, Placido Domingo as Otello, Margaret Price as Desdemona, Robin Redman as Amelia, and Barry Macaulay as Cassio. Miss Redman, a member of the Lyric Opera Center for American Artists, in her first fairly large role on the stage to some of the other smaller compromise parts. And again, our two stars of the last act, baritone Sherrill Milnes as Iago, tenor Placido Domingo as Otello.
I'm sure, Mr. Milnes, that you feel at times you're spending as much time defending and talking about the character of Iago as you are singing the role. But he's such a fascinating character to us that I think we have to know, where are you coming from with Iago? Who is this man to you?
Well, he doesn't need defense.
Yes.
He is not, if not critical, as he says. It's a complicated character. It certainly isn't simple hating Otello, resenting Cassio, the West Point cadet, versus Iago, who has come through the ranks, the blue-collar worker, having been Otello's right-hand man all the time. All those things are true, but it's far more complicated than that. I think there's probably some kind of almost exorcist, demonic force inside Iago that he at some point discovered, and that, well, not like an automaton, certainly, but influences and to a certain degree controls his life. The credo. I don't think the credo. I believe in a cruel God, after which man was made, after which image man was made. I don't think that this is something that Iago says every morning before, as he gets up, or every night before he goes to bed. I think this force inside of him, from time to time, in a manner of speaking, erupts. And when he says the words, I believe in a cruel God, and we were made from the original slime of the earth, and after death is nothing, and heaven is a folly. I mean, that's powerful, anti-God, anti-religion words. In a certain way, well, I think since I first saw the play Amadeus, and then more recently the movie, with Salieri taking out a fight, taking on God to defeat Mozart, of course, totally unsuccessfully. A little bit there is this Iago battling against forces of good to destroy, to manipulate Otello's life. I don't believe that Iago, the normal day-by-day man, ever projected this whole plot to the point of killing killing Otello. I don't think he's ever thought that far ahead. I think he starts out planting these suspicions, and he is, in a way, amazed that everyone is so gullible, that everyone picks up on this stuff. Although Iago has to be a master of faces, he has to be Good Time Charlie, always in the public eye. And the faithful servant, although he's not a servant in the schlepping sense, he is his right-hand man. And in fact, in this second act, when he is doing most of his little gem dropping, the handkerchief, and Cassio said this. Oh no, I don't think that was Cassio. I mean, anyone who would have been guilty to see you, it couldn't have been Cassio, and do you trust him? And, oh yes, Cassio was the messenger. Otello says, Cassio was the messenger of my gifts when I was courting Desdemona. Oh really? Well, do you think trust? All these little things that we know. He is amazed, Iago is amazed that people just pick up on this, and it keeps going and going and going and going. I think he is in a certain way surprised, but it certainly is in line with his some kind of pact against God, that I am going to in some way defeat this man. And certainly at the end of the second act, or the end of the third act, when Otello has the epileptic fit, I do You see God pointing at heaven. This is my power. We're at work, and your power, at the moment at least, is meaningless.
He could hardly help but increase in contempt for those around him and for God, for that matter, because people are such pushovers to all of this.
Yeah, I think that quality should be shown and grow, increase during the opera. One has to be careful for audiences, because they are only seeing and hearing the words in a 3-hour piece of time. We can't assume that they know other lines that were said in a play or some other historical event. We can't assume knowledge, and we shouldn't in a certain way assume knowledge for the character. There is a trap when you go from famous plays to operas. We know much less in operas than we do in plays. Small parts are eliminated, certain subplots eliminated, because opera by its nature has to be a simpler story, because the normal emotions that take place in opera take much longer. It is the nature of opera. A love duet, in a play, a love duet may be, I love you, and I love you too, and then on to the rest of the plot. Well, in opera, there isn't such a thing as a 5-second love scene. Mm-hmm. You know, you're talking a 10-minute, perhaps a 15-minute, fantastic, amplified, increased in its intensity scene. Therefore, other things, by that very fact, have to be eliminated or shortened.
Does Verdi give you enough help musically to develop this character along these lines? For the subtleties?
Yeah, what he did with orchestration. And I've often said almost any Verdi opera can be quickly learned at sight, because they're very tonal and all of this, except Otello and Falstaff. The compositional sophistication that happened between what was before Otello and the Requiem. Okay, the sophistication that went in that hiatus, just incredible, the colors that he had in the orchestra, and dissonances. He never really used dissonances until Otello. He never really used dissonances until Otello. Iago, after the trio in the third act, he kind of fades, and in the fourth act, just the little bit of business. He also does in the play, too. In the play, he kills Emilia. And I have done productions where he stabs her before he runs out. Yeah, tattletales, you see. If you let the cat out of the bag, he gets his revenge. I'm sorry, there's no way, of course, to do it, but, you know, Iago is caught, and I mean, in the play there's some reference to it, I don't remember off the top of my head. He's hung up by his thumbs or some, in a public place, some horrible, and allowed to die. But, well, he truly deserves that.
Sherrill Milnes there, talking backstage with Norm Pellegrini.
And now, here is our conductor, Bruno Bartoletti. From Lyric Opera of Chicago, we shall have Act 3 of Verdi's Otello. One wondered if that was going to happen, and of course it did. Maestro Bartoletti asked the orchestra to stand, and so a renewed burst of applause for the Lyric Opera Orchestra. Down to the stage for Otello Act 3.
Cassio, e con astute inchieste lo adeschero a ciarlar, quella nascosto scusa de modi suoi, e sue parole, i lazzi, i gesti, paziente siate, o la prova distrugge. Ecco Desdemona, finger conviene, io vado. Il fazzoletto va volontieri, obliato l'avrei.
Così
miei balli, trofei trionfali, una battaglia, una menzogna. E avrei portato la croce crudel d'angoscia e onde calma fronte. La tua causa in tal mano che la vittoria è certa. Io qui credea di ritrovar Desdemona, io non vorrei parlarne ancora per sapere se la mia grazia è profferta me l'attendi. E intanto, già che non si stanca mai la tua lingua nelle vole gaie, narrami un po' di lei che ti innamora di Frida e Baie. Santa vince, poi taglierai Frida di Baie, chi vince? In tagli sfide per verità vince silenzio trionfa, il suo scherno fuggire, mi offre un'ansia che in cuore mi sta. Son già di baci, saccio e di noi, che mi fai, amor fugaci. Battezio il regno d'altra beltà, cogliere sena, silenzio virrile, il suo scherno uccide, io per ansia del cuore mi sta. Nel segno tono si lo confesso, mi confesso, la vita scolla. Iago, che dopo la mia dimora, con la ponta si vuol di nuovo per ora. Se vuole l'oro, il acqua me ne vorrei, ora son giunto, una bel trapunto. È strano, avvicinarmi, diamomi facendo, dai mio domano, vai da senno, quando mi tolgo sapere chi sia, Otello stia, vai prego, guarda via, Otello ria che sto vicino con mosse accorte, quel cavaliere nel vostro stello perdono gli angeli, la reola e il re. Ma quello, qui la volta, mia Otello, tutto spento, amore duol, l'alma mia di son più nuova. Questa è una ragna dove il tuo color, cascasia di gentili miei cor, troppo la dirri, troppo la guardi, vada e dirri, vada e bugiardi. Questa è una ragna dove il tuo color, cascasia di gentili miei cor, questa è una ragna dove il tuo cor, cascasia di gentili miei cor. Iago la lago della quella lago, e in raggi trovuna divina per più bianco, più lieve che fiocco di neve, e l'unico gioco con l'amore del cielo. Questa è una ragna dove il tuo cuore, il ancora vago, questa è una ragna dove il tuo cuore, cascatina di cittadini al mor, trovando la neve, e l'occo, la neve, troppo l'ammiri, tradimento. Vada, vada. Questo segnale che annuncia la prora della tridene veneziana. Ascolta. Tutto questo è il poco qui e risponde. Contigo vuoi con Otello scontrarti, fuggi, addio, come Lucia e l'eco degli arriso vedi, fazzoletto, tutta vedi è condannata anche la mia velenta questa notte lo scoppio al mio soffocava là nel suo letto là dove ha peccato questa giustizia tua mi piace sia Iago provvedere Iago fin d'ora io capitano chiedo se grazie mi rendo e tu mi lasciatori mi accogliete sospetti, Desdemona si mostra i tuoi pensieri, guida tutti. Verdi, Iago, quali nuove, ma in mezzo a voi non trovo Cassio, con lui crucciato e Otello. Ma siete certa? Non vi parla, forse che in grazia tornerà.
Io lo spero.
No, che dunque le labbra loquati. Cassio, che pensi? Guarda la mente in croce. Oh, triste sposa, quelle ore, queste preghiero dai sublimi ardimenti, e quel che alesa il tuo pensiero, e noi tener su sol la lingua muta, eccolo, e noi nell'animo scruta. Mi richiama Venezia, chi la sorte non ci protegge, mio successor, colui che sta accanto al mio vessillo, Cassio, e per morte, la parola ducale nostra legge, oh vedi, non far desurti l'infame, la turma e la corte, partirai per singolati, e le navi del castello lascio in poter del nuovo potute. Otello perché parla, con forte e poveri frangi, noi salveremo fuggite, Otello, gozare una malia che da mi senti, non si scappa, e tanto vero, mi segui.
All are horrified as Otello hurls Desdemona to the floor and curses her. And then when he asks everyone to leave, shouts to them to leave, he falls into a swoon, and Iago says, "My poison is working." And as the crowd outdoors hails Otello as the Lion of Venice, Iago looks at him and says, "Here is your lion." Act 3 of Verdi's Otello from Lyric Opera of Chicago.
And coming out on stage, all of the singers in this previous act: Stellan Skaforowski as the Herald, Barry Macaulay as Cassio, Sherrill Milnes as Iago, Margaret Price as Desdemona, Placido Domingo as Otello. Also on stage are Robin Redman as Emilia, Paul Pliszka, Lodovico, and Paul Hartfield, Roderigo. Very striking color combination there with the beautiful Venetian red gowns of the Herald and Lodovico, and deep, rich greens and blue outfits of the other gentlemen. And here they come again.
Stefan Skaforowski, the Herald, and Emilia, Robin Redman, and Roderigo, Paul Hartfield, are all members of the Lyric Opera Center for American Artists. Paul Pliszka making his appearance in this act as Lodovico, and he will be seen in later opera in a much larger role. Very handsome act, too, as the behind-the-scenes action was going on. Of course, the stage was quite dark, and then as the chorus came in, as Lodovico, the ambassador, came in, and the chorus began to fill in behind, suddenly the lights came up when they all were there and appeared, as though Otello was so wrapped in his thoughts, and suddenly, in a burst of thought as well as a light on the stage, he was made aware of the fact that he was not alone. Director for this production is, of course, Bruno Bartoletti, who is the artistic director of Lyric Opera of Chicago. Maestro Bartoletti will be conducting 2 other operas in this season as well, including Lyric's first ever La Rondine. And here once more is Bruno Bartoletti, now from Lyric Opera of Chicago, the fourth and final act of Verdi's Otello. And Maestro Bartoletti asks the orchestra to stand once more, as you can hear bravos as well as applause for Bruno Bartoletti and the Lyric Opera Orchestra. Now down at the stage for the final act of Otello.
grazia, eletta fra le spose, le vergini sei tu. Sia benedetto il frutto, oh benedetta di tue materne viscere.
Gesù questa sera le vostre preci. Se vi sovviene di qualche colpa commessa, che attenda grazia dal ciel, imploratela tosto.
Perché?
Sta fretta, uccidere non voglio l'anima tua. Sì. Pensa tuoi peccati.
Io peccato.
Per far muori. Col fazzoletto io ti non hai di dessi. Nella cavallo vidi. Confessa. Allo sventura. Perché sei sul letto letto di morte. Per morire cazzo. Per sempre. Morto.
Dai, tradito.
E piangere lati. Non ti difendi. E Cassio! Cassio vive! Talla credea, quel fazzoletto non dire ieri, a Cassio e salutava. A che? A che? E nella mia dimora trovai quel re. Rodrigo morente mi svellò di questo nome l'ardine folle. Ah, discolpati! No, bella, Otello! E non ha più fulmini! La spada Desdemona
Otello dies at the side of his beloved Desdemona. Verdi's Otello, from Lyric Opera of Chicago. Placido Domingo as Otello, Margaret Price as Desdemona. Bruno Bartoletti conducting the Lyric Opera Orchestra.
Gold curtain is being held open. And as you can obviously hear, Placido Domingo and Margaret Price stepped out on the apron.
As it turns out, these artists have sung this role together a number of times, all three of the principals, as a matter of fact, Placido Domingo, Margaret Price, and Sherrill Milnes.
And now a bow with all of the characters in the last act. Paul Pliszka as Lodovico, Barry Macaulay as Cassio, Placido Domingo and Margaret Price as Otello and Desdemona, Sherrill Milnes as Iago, Robin Redman as Emilia, and Paul Kreider as Montano.
This production of Otello, Lyric's own production, given to Lyric by Mr. and Mrs. Freeman and Mr. Hemphill. Here is Robin Redman, who sang the role of Emilia. She's a third-year member of the Lyric Opera Center for American Artists, and recently took second place in both the G.B. Dealey Awards and the Lauren L. Zachary Awards.
Lodovico, Paul Pliszka. The Pliszka leading opera of the Metropolitan Opera since 1967.
Here is Cassio, tenor Barry Macaulay, engaged this season not only in this production, but as Ruggiero in La Rondine. He made his lyric debut in 1983.
And Sherrill Milnes, baritone, as Iago. Mr. Milnes, a great favorite here in Chicago, as well as at the Metropolitan Opera. He's actually a Chicagoan, or grew up or was raised near Chicago, I think at Downers Grove.
He sang his first Simone Boccanegra ever, I think, on this stage. Mm-hmm. Of course, he's sung it many times since. He's sung all of the major Verdi baritones, and many other roles as well, for that matter. And here is Desdemona, Margaret Price. Miss Price, who has sung Mozart before at Lyric Opera of Chicago, Così fan tutte, and The Marriage of Figaro. And then she sang in the Lyric 25th Anniversary Gala. And now back as Desdemona. Covent Garden next year, she's going to sing the title role of Norma.
And that applause for Placido Domingo as Otello. Mr. Domingo's portrayal of Otello marks his sixth role with Lyric Opera since his 1968 debut here in Chicago. And as he mentioned earlier in the program, this was his 98th performance of this role.
And here is Maestro Bruno Bartoletti, Lyric's artistic director, our conductor for this production, and he asks the orchestra to stand to accept the applause of the audience. And then he calls forth the director of this production, Antonello Madao Diaz, and as well, I think,
Giulio Favario,
of course, Lyric's chorus master. And now he asks all of the soloists to join himself and the other two gentlemen on stage. Paul Pliszka, Barry Macaulay, Placido Domingo, Bruno Bartoletti, Margaret Price, Mr. Madao Diaz, Sherrill Milnes, Maestro Favario, Robin Redman, and Paul Kreider. This is, of course, only the first performance of Verdi.